case of Julius Jones. If you did not know, he was sentenced to be put to death today in Oklahoma. But just a little bit ago, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt released a statement saying, after prayerful consideration and reviewing materials presented by all sides of the case, I have determined to commute Julius Jones' sentence to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Julius was convicted of first-degree murder in 2002, but has always maintained his innocence. Several stars like Kim Kardashian and Viola Davis have spoken out on his behalf. Viola even produced a documentary about him called The Last Offense, bringing his case national attention. And Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield has also spoken out in Julius's defense. Listen to what he had to say.
Been trying to get the facts stated and the truth to be told for a while, but it's tough to think about. Tried and tried. It's a shame that it's gotten this far. We're 24 hours away. Hopefully God can intervene and handle it correctly and do the things he needs to do.
And for the record, he was a star quarterback at Oklahoma, and that's why he plays a part in this.
Right. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What do you think about this judgment being last minute, number one, also all the influence of celebrities, and then do you really feel like it's a victory considering that the governor went against the parole board who wanted him to have clemency twice? They said this man is innocent. The real killer has admitted that they shot, the victim, but he still now is going to have life without parole.
Right. I mean, it's a small victory. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if this allows him to then try and get another trial, because it seems like some very important things were left out of his first trial, like he was having dinner and he had an unbelievable alibi at the time of the murder. That might be something his new lawyer would bring up. But I do look at this as a small victory, because we'd be having a much different segment right now had he been still on schedule to be put to death. So in order for my mental health to carry forward, I am going to say that this is a small victory. It's not the victory, but we're not talking about somebody who's clearly at least deserves another trial, if it's not completely exonerated.
I don't want to gloss over what you said about in order for your mental health, and I think everybody should be taking a mental health check if this is triggering to you based on the person that you are, the people that you love, and the experience that you are having in this country. When you brought up the fact that the Board of Pardon and Parole said twice that the idea, first of all, ignored it, gave him life without parole. Yes, we can say at least he lives to see the ability to possibly see justice. The idea that we have all of this information, we have all of this evidence that exonerates this man, and he was nearly put to death, which is just, cruel and unusual punishment on top of cruel and unusual punishment. But I see this move as trying to ride the line for Stitt. The other time that we talked about him, the other time we talked about him this year was on the commemoration of Tulsa. This is a man, a public official, who does one thing like, yes, we'll do this board in order to generate all of these funds, the funds that didn't even go to the descendants of the victims of the Tulsa massacre, and he was removed from said board because of that. So he plays both sides. And that's what he's doing in this situation, because if he were truly acting in the interest of justice, he would have
listened to his own board. What do you think about the celebrities being involved? Do you think in today's day and age, if a celebrity speaks out like Kim Kardashian, that's going to have more influence than your public constituents?
Yeah, anything to get eyeballs on it, right? The more eyeballs, the more what happens into the case.
But that could go either way.
Listen, this guy was supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
He threw a Hail Mary. Luckily, Viola Davis jumped on board, wrote a movie about it. I'm surprised it got this far after what she did. And then Kim Kardashian jumps on board. Now people have to listen. You have to listen to this story. They did. I still am a little confused, though. If they let him go, or not let him go, got him off of death row, why don't they give him another trial? I don't understand.
To Erica's point, I think the governor's trying to appease both sides.
Right.
Like, let me just save this man's life because I have all these eyeballs looking at me in the court of public opinion. But at the same time, I'm going to,
but at the same
stand
time,
my
Sam,
ground.
he has to worry about who votes for him. and a lot of people that vote for him do not want to see a black man walk free.
In jail?
Sam.
But that's why I'm against the death penalty. And I know we've had that conversation, because if somebody ever hurt my kids, I would want them put to death. I would. I'm keeping it 100. But in the grand scheme of things, as a constituent, I got to be real careful if I'm going to vote against the death penalty, which I have before in California as a voter there. It's because of situations like this.
Right. I mean, but if you completely exonerate a black man as the governor of Oklahoma, a person that is accused of killing a white man in cold blood.
But the other person admitted it.
But Sam, you're talking about facts and nuance. Your voting base might not care. We've seen about like some of the things people vote on, and all they're going to read from your opponent is this guy that I'm running against let a black man that murdered a white person walk free. Anything else you have to say after that is inconsequential, and that's what he's thinking about. The only reason we're really probably having this conversation is because Baker Mayfield, who's one of the most famous people alive from Oklahoma, said something about it. So, I mean, it took a miracle, and that's why it's so scary to be a black person in the United States, because if you're accused, unless Beyonce, Kim, and Obama come out in a mass tweet, you have no chance, and even then. So, I mean, that's why it's so scary when we see law enforcement, because we know once we're part of the system that we're throwing a Hail Mary in a sense, because even if the facts of this case, which are borderline ridiculous, the fact that we're still having this conversation, he's still having life in prison even though he wasn't there and somebody else admitted to the crime. How many freedom files do we do where the person is so innocent, it's like embarrassing to say it on TV? Like, I'm embarrassed to cover this because it's such
and they're mostly people of
an
color.
indictment of our legal system. Yeah, but the freedom files have Hispanic, white women just throwing people away because they're too poor to defend themselves. Right. So that's why people do whatever they need to do to get money, because it'll save your life.
Wow.